Ambassador Lee Gina walked through the massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber. The room was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. Hundreds of alien beings sat in curved rows, their strange forms creating shadows under the bright lights. Some had tentacles, others had multiple eyes, and a few looked like they were made of pure energy. Gina took her seat at the human section. It was small compared to the other areas. Humans had only been part of the galaxy community for 50 years. Most aliens still saw them as the new kids who barely knew how to fly between stars. The meeting was about the Vega sector. Many species wanted to claim the empty space there for mining and colonies. Tension filled the air like electricity before a storm. Commander Vextar from the Krillian Empire stood up first. He was tall with gray skin and tentacles that moved when he got angry. His voice was deep and scary when he spoke through the translation device. The Krillian Empire has ruled space for 3,000 years, he said, his tentacles waving. We will not let primitive species like humans take what belongs to the strong. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many aliens nodded in agreement. The ethereal collective representative, a being of light trapped in a crystal body, pulsed brighter. Commander Vextar speaks truth, the energy being said. Humans barely learn to leave their planet. Their ships are slow and weak. What right? Do they have to expand when real civilizations need resources? Gina felt her jaw tighten, but she kept her face calm. She had practiced this for years. Show no anger. Show no strength. Let them think humans were harmless. The Terran Federation asks for fair treatment, she said in a steady voice. Our colonies need room to grow, just like everyone else's. This made many aliens laugh. The sound was strange. Some buzzed, others clicked, and a few made noises like breaking glass. A delegate from the Nexus Coalition who looked like a giant insect spoke up. Fair treatment? Your entire military could not defeat one of our patrol fleets. You should be grateful we let you join the council at all. More laughter filled the chamber. Gina had heard this before. Humans were seen as lucky primitives who found a crashed alien ship and copied the technology to reach space. The real truth was very different, but no one in this room knew that. The Krillian commander leaned forward, his multiple eyes focusing on Gina. Perhaps humans need a lesson in knowing their place. Our fleets are already near your outer colonies. It would be unfortunate if accidents happen to ships that wander where they do not belong. The threat was clear. Other aliens watched to see how the human would react. Gina felt her heart beat faster, but her training kept her calm. She had been a soldier before becoming a diplomat. She knew what real threats looked like. We hope all species can solve problems with words, not weapons, she replied. This made the aliens laugh even harder. The ethereal being pulsed with what passed for amusement among their kind. Words? Vextar said. Your species talks about peace because you have no choice. Weak creatures always speak of diplomacy when they cannot fight. The meeting continued for hours. Each time humans asked for anything, aliens refused or mocked them. They talked about human ships like they were toys. They dismissed human colonies as barely worth protecting. They treated Earth like a backwater planet that got lucky. During a break, several alien delegates gathered near the human section. They spoke loudly, wanting Gina to hear. I heard their biggest warship has only basic plasma cannons, one said. My personal yacht has better weapons. Their defense systems are a joke, another added. We could conquer their whole territory in a few days if we wanted to. Why bother? A third alien laughed. Let them play at being a real civilization. They will learn their limits soon enough. Gina pretended to read reports on her tablet, but she was really listening to every word. These aliens had no idea what they were talking about. If they knew the truth about human capabilities, they would not be laughing. As the meeting ended, Commander Vextar approached the human section. His tentacles moved slowly, like a predator circling prey. Ambassador Gina, he said with fake politeness, I hope you understand that the galaxy has rules. Strong species get what they need. Weak species get what is left. I understand perfectly, Gina replied. Good. Then you will not object when Krillian fleets begin operations near your colonies. We are simply protecting our future mining interests. Gina nodded slightly. Of course, Commander. We would not want any misunderstandings. Vextar smiled, showing sharp teeth. Exactly. Misunderstandings can be very dangerous for small fleets in big space. After the aliens left, Gina sat alone, in the empty chamber. She looked at her wrist device, pretending to check the time. Instead, she pressed a hidden button that sent a coded message across space faster than light. The message was simple. The children are misbehaving again. On Luna Base, orbiting Earth's moon, Admiral Park Daiho received the signal. His face became serious as he read the code. He had hoped this day would never come, but humans always planned for the worst. He walked to a secure terminal and entered his authorization codes. Around him, other officers stopped their work and watched. They all knew what this meant. Park's finger hovered over the final button for a moment. Then he pressed it. Protocol 7 was now active. Across human space, hidden systems began to power up. Sleeper agents opened sealed orders. The greatest military deception in galactic history was about to end. The galaxy thought humans were weak prey animals. Soon they would learn what apex predators really looked like when they stopped pretending to be harmless. 3 days after the council meeting, 47 Krillian warships dropped out of hyperspace near New Geneva Colony. Commander Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the human settlement through the main screen. The colony looked peaceful and defenseless, just as he expected. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Show these primitives what happens when they forget their place." The Krillian fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Their ships were massive, each one bristling with plasma cannons and energy shields. They had conquered dozens of worlds with these same vessels. One small human colony would fall in minutes. But deep beneath New Geneva's surface, Commander Kim Hyun was watching the alien fleet approach. He sat in a command center carved from solid rock, surrounded by screens showing every detail of the incoming attack. "Sir, the Krillians are maintaining standard attack formation," reported Lieutenant Choi Min. "No changes from their usual tactics." Kim nodded. "Of course not. They still think we're helpless. Signal the defense grid. Authorization code Tango 77. Above the colony, dozens of objects that looked like simple mining satellites suddenly began to change. Metal panels slid away to reveal weapon barrels that gleamed with strange energy. Communication towers extended additional arrays that hummed with power. Everything the Krillians had cataloged as civilian equipment was actually military hardware in disguise. The Krillian fleet fired first. Bright green plasma bolts streaked toward the human colony, enough firepower to melt a small moon. The aliens expected to see explosions and destruction. Instead, the plasma simply vanished against invisible barriers that shimmered in space. "What?" Vexitar snarled. "How are they blocking our weapons?" His tactical officer checked the readings twice before answering. "Sir, their shields are absorbing our plasma completely. Our weapons have no effect at all." Before Vextar could respond, space around his fleet suddenly filled with blue light. The human defense satellites had opened fire with weapons that didn't behave like anything in Krillian databases. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, these weapons seemed to tear holes in reality itself. The first Krillian ship hit by the blue light simply came apart. Its hull, which could withstand direct hits from plasma cannons, cracked like glass. The ship broke into pieces so small they looked like dust. "Impossible," Vextar screamed. "Their technology readings showed primitive weapons only." More blue lights lanced out from the defense grid. Each shot destroyed a Krillian warship completely. The aliens tried to return fire, but their plasma bolts continued to have no effect on the human shields. Then Admiral Seo Minho arrived with the human fleet. The 12 ships dropped out of hyperspace behind the Krillian formation. To alien eyes, they looked like the same cargo haulers and survey vessels that humans had been flying for 50 years. But as soon as they appeared, they began to change. Hull plates shifted and reformed. Hidden weapon ports opened along their sides. Engine signatures that had registered as simple fusion drives now showed power readings that made Krillian sensors overload. "All human vessels," Admiral Seo's voice carried across the communication channels. "For 50 years we have hidden what we truly are. No more. Show them why Earth's children learned to hunt in packs. The human ships moved like nothing the Krillians had ever seen. Instead of the clumsy formations typical of space combat, they flowed around the alien fleet like water. Each ship seemed to know exactly where the others would be, creating patterns of attack that were beautiful and terrifying. Krillian plasma cannons, the pride of their military engineering, couldn't even scratch the human hulls. The energy simply slid off armor that bent light around itself. Meanwhile, human weapons carved through Krillian shields like they weren't there. How are they doing this? Vextar demanded. His ship shook as another human weapon struck nearby, disabling 2 escort vessels with a single shot. Sir? His science officer said, voice shaking with fear. Their weapons appear to manipulate matter at the quantum level. Our shields can't stop attacks that work on atomic structure directly. But the most frightening thing wasn't the human weapons or shields. It was how they fought. The human ships seemed to predict every Krillian move before it happened. When the aliens tried to flank left, human vessels were already waiting. When they attempted to retreat, they found escape routes blocked. It was like fighting an enemy that could read minds. They know our tactics, Vextar realized with growing horror. They know everything about how we fight. Commander Kim's voice came across the communication system, calm and professional. Krillian fleet, you are outmatched. Surrender now and you will be allowed to leave with 1 ship to carry word of this encounter. Never, Vexitar shouted. The Krillian Empire does not surrender to primitives. As you wish, Kim replied. The human attack intensified. Ship after ship in the Krillian fleet simply ceased to exist, torn apart by weapons that worked in ways alien science couldn't understand. The formation that had conquered star systems fell apart in minutes. Vextar watched his flagship's shields fail as human weapons focused on his position. Around him, officers screamed as systems overloaded and hull breaches opened to space. Sir, his communications officer called out, the humans are offering safe passage if we retreat now. Vexitar looked at the tactical display. Of his 47 ships, only 3 remained functional. The humans had destroyed his entire fleet in 8 minutes. Retreat, he whispered. Then, louder, all remaining ships retreat to hyperspace. As his damaged flagship limped away from New Geneva, Vextar sent an emergency message to Krillian High Command. His words would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Command, this is Vextar. The humans, they were never primitive. We have been living next to apex predators who were playing with us like children. Alert all fleets. Everything we thought we knew about Earth is wrong. The message spread across the galaxy faster than the fleeing Krillian ships. Within hours, every major power would know that humanity had been hiding its true nature. The masquerade was over. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began, within 6 hours of receiving the Krillian distress signals. The Great Chamber buzzed with fear and confusion, as species that had been enemies for thousands of years now sat together, united by a single terrifying realization: the humans had been lying to them all. Dr. Yoon Sora walked to the speaker's platform in the center of the chamber. Unlike previous human representatives who had seemed small and harmless, she moved with quiet confidence. Her dark eyes scanned the assembled aliens with the patience of a predator studying prey. Honored delegates, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. You seem surprised by recent events. This reaction tells us exactly why we chose deception over honesty 50 years ago. The ethereal collective's representative pulsed with angry light. You have betrayed every principle of galactic cooperation. How long have you possessed such weapons? Since before we reached the stars, Sora replied calmly. Our military capabilities were developed on Earth, fighting against our own planet and each other for 10,000 years. She activated a holographic display that filled the air above the chamber. Images of Earth appeared, showing massive storms, deadly predators, and volcanic explosions that could destroy entire continents. This is our homeworld, Sora explained. What your surveys classified as a Class 12 death world. Everything on our planet evolved to kill everything else. The weather tried to freeze us, burn us, or drown us. The animals hunted us, even the plants were poisonous. The aliens stared at the images with growing horror. Many had never seen a world so hostile to life. For millions of years, humans survived by becoming the most dangerous predators on the most dangerous world in this sector of the galaxy. We learned to hunt in coordinated groups. We learned to make tools that could kill anything. Most importantly, we learned to think several steps ahead of our enemies. The display changed to show human history, wars that lasted centuries, weapons that could level cities. Battles fought with such intensity that they changed the shape of continents. A Nexus Coalition delegate clicked nervously. But your technology, readings showed primitive capabilities. How did you hide such advancement? Sora smiled, and several aliens moved back in their seats. We didn't hide our technology. We simply showed you versions designed to look primitive. Every ship you cataloged as a cargo hauler was actually a warship. Every mining colony was a military base. Every communication satellite was a weapons platform. The chamber erupted in shocked voices speaking dozens of languages. The translation systems struggled to keep up with the chaos. "Impossible," shouted a delegate from the hegemony. "Our sensors would have detected such deception." "Your sensors detected exactly what we wanted them to detect," Sora replied. "We have been studying your technology for 50 years. We know every weakness in your detection systems, every blind spot in your defenses, every flaw in your military tactics." She gestured, and the holographic display showed star maps of the galaxy. Red dots appeared throughout space, marking human positions that had been hidden from alien knowledge. What you see as empty space contains over 200 human installations. Our exploration ships mapped every system in your territories. Our trade vessels studied your military bases. Our diplomatic missions learned how your governments work and where they are vulnerable. The red dots spread across the map like a disease, showing human presence in systems that aliens thought they controlled. Many delegates realized with horror that humans had been watching them for decades. "Why?" demanded the Krillian representative, one of the few survivors from the New Geneva battle. "Why this elaborate deception? Why not simply conquer us if you possess such power?" Sora's expression became serious. "Because conquest was never our goal. We wanted to join galactic civilization peacefully. But we also knew that revealing our true capabilities would lead to exactly this moment: fear, panic, and inevitable war." She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. "Humans learned long ago that the strongest predator isn't always the one with the biggest claws. Sometimes it's the one smart enough to hide its claws until the moment they're needed." As if summoned by her words, new contacts appeared on every sensor screen in the chamber. Massive ships were dropping out of hyperspace throughout the galaxy, vessels so large they registered as small moons. The main display showed one of these ships in detail. It was sleek and dark, covered in armor that seemed to bend light around itself. Weapon ports lined its hull like the teeth of some cosmic predator. "The human fleet is revealing itself," Sora announced. 2,000 vessels that you never knew existed, armed with weapons you cannot comprehend, crewed by beings who view warfare as both art and science. Panic spread through the chamber as aliens realized the true scope of human military power. Species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia suddenly understood they had been living next to a force that could destroy them all. "What do you want from us?" whispered the ethereal representative, its light flickering with fear. Sora looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every delegate. "We want what we have always wanted, peace, but peace on our terms now, not yours. The galaxy will learn to cooperate, or it will learn why humans conquered the most dangerous planet in known space." She turned to leave, then stopped and looked back. "Oh, and delegates, the next time you mistake restraint for weakness, remember that the most dangerous humans are the ones who choose not to show you how dangerous they really are." As the chamber fell silent, aliens across the galaxy began to understand that their universe had changed forever. The prey had revealed itself to be the ultimate predator, and there was nowhere left to hide. The largest military force in galactic history assembled at the edge of the Helix Nebula. 12,000 warships from 7 different species floated, in space like a metal cloud stretching across millions of kilometers. Never before had so many enemies worked together, but fear of humanity had created the impossible alliance. Fleet Admiral Han Wook stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the approaching alien armada through the main view screen. His ship was so massive that smaller vessels could dock inside its hangar bays. Around him, holographic displays showed the enemy formation with calm precision. "Sir, alien fleet has arrived at the designated coordinates," reported Captain Cho, Yuna from her tactical station. "Total count 12,000 vessels from multiple species. They're maintaining a standard wall formation." Han studied the enemy positions with the patience of a career military officer. He had spent 30 years preparing for this moment, hoping it would never come but ready when it did. "They learned nothing from New Geneva," he said quietly. Still thinking in terms of overwhelming numbers and conventional tactics, he opened the fleet communication channel. "All human vessels, implement hunting pattern Omega. Show them why we conquered Earth." The human response fleet numbered only 400 ships, but each vessel was a masterpiece of military engineering. As they moved to engage the alien alliance, they spread out like a pack of wolves surrounding prey. What followed wasn't a battle in any traditional sense. It was a systematic demonstration of evolutionary superiority. The alien alliance attacked, first, confident that their numerical advantage would overwhelm the smaller human force. Thousands of energy weapons fired simultaneously, creating a light show visible from nearby star systems. But the human ships seemed to dance between the incoming fire. Their movements were fluid and coordinated, each vessel knowing exactly where every other ship would be at any moment. They flowed around the alien formation like water around rocks. "How are they avoiding our targeting systems?" demanded Admiral Kexthor of the combined alien fleet. His command ship shuddered as human weapons began their response. The answer became clear as human ships opened fire. Their weapons didn't behave like anything in alien databases. Instead of energy beams or missiles, they fired projectiles that seemed to phase in and out of normal space. These weapons passed through alien shields like they weren't there, striking hulls directly. But instead of exploding, they did something much worse. They simply made parts of enemy ships cease to exist. "Sir," called out the Alien Alliance's science officer, "their weapons are manipulating matter at the quantum level. They're not destroying our ships. They're convincing reality that parts of our ships never existed." Admiral Kexthor watched in horror as entire sections of Allied vessels simply vanished. The ships didn't explode or break apart. Pieces just disappeared, leaving perfect holes in the hulls. But the most terrifying aspect wasn't the human weapons. It was how they fought. Commander Lee Jihan led a squadron of human destroyers in a flanking maneuver that should have been impossible to coordinate. His ships moved with hive-mind precision while maintaining individual tactical creativity. "Target their command vessels first," he ordered over the squadron channel. "Let them watch their leaders fall. Fear spreads faster than weapons fire." The human ships adapted their tactics faster than alien computers could process. When the Alliance tried to concentrate fire on individual human vessels, those ships would phase shift their armor, becoming temporarily incorporeal. When aliens attempted to retreat, they found human ships already blocking their escape routes. "They're not just fighting us," realized the Ethereal Collective's fleet commander. "They're hunting us." The realization spread through the Alien Alliance like a plague. These weren't soldiers following standard military doctrine. These were predators who had evolved to work together while maintaining individual lethality. Admiral Han watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "Signal all units," he commanded. "Begin psychological warfare protocols. Let them hear what's coming." Across the human fleet, communication systems activated, but instead of military chatter, they broadcast sounds from Earth. The howls of wolves hunting in packs, the roar of apex predators claiming territory, the whispers of humans stalking prey in ancient forests. The psychological effect was devastating. Alien crews who had never experienced true predation suddenly understood they were facing creatures that had spent millions of years perfecting the art of the hunt. Ships began breaking formation as alien commanders lost their nerve. The carefully planned alliance strategy crumbled as species that had united in fear now fled in terror. "All vessels retreat," ordered Admiral Kexthor, as his flagship's hull suffered another impossible breach. "Signal general withdrawal." But the humans weren't finished. As alien ships tried to escape, human vessels pursued them with relentless efficiency. They disabled engines instead of destroying ships, trapping enemies in space to contemplate their defeat. "Attention, alien fleet," Admiral Han's voice carried across all communication channels. "You came here to contain humanity through force. Instead, you have learned why we conquered our own world through 10,000 years of constant warfare." The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, the alliance of 7 powers had ceased to exist as a military force. Ships limped away in all directions, their crews traumatized by the realization of what they had faced. Commander Vextar, barely alive in his second damaged flagship, transmitted a final message that would echo across the galaxy. "We didn't fight an army today. We fought evolution itself. Humanity isn't just technologically superior, they're designed by their world to be the perfect killers." As the human fleet regrouped in the aftermath, Admiral Han looked out at the scattered debris of the largest military alliance in galactic history. "Signal Earth Command," he ordered. "The reckoning is complete. The galaxy now understands what happens when apex predators stop pretending to be prey." In the distance, alien ships fled toward their home systems, carrying word of humanity's true nature to civilizations that would never look at the small blue planet the same way again. The masquerade was over. The hunt had begun. 6 months after the Battle of Helix Nebula, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. Half the seats sat empty as many species had withdrawn from galactic politics entirely, choosing isolation over the risk of attracting human attention. Those who remained did so with the understanding that everything had changed. Ambassador Lee Gina walked to the central podium, but she no longer hid what she truly was. Her diplomatic uniform now bore the insignia of her real rank, Colonel, Earth Special Operations Command. The aliens who had once mocked her as a weak representative of a primitive species now watched her with barely concealed fear. "The galaxy has learned what happens when apex predators stop pretending to be harmless," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the mostly empty chamber. "But you still misunderstand our intentions if you believe we seek to rule through fear." She activated the holographic display, showing star maps that had been updated with humanity's true presence. Red markers indicated human installations that had been hidden for decades, while blue zones marked areas now under human protection. For 50 years, we monitored 47 pre-spaceflight civilizations. We guided their development, protected them from exploitation, and helped them avoid the mistakes that led to this moment. We understand that true power isn't about conquest. It's about having the wisdom to know when not to use your full strength. The few remaining alien delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The Krillian representative, one of only 3 survivors from their once mighty empire, spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. "What do you want from us humans? Our fleets are broken, our colonies live in fear, what more can you take?" Gina's expression softened slightly. "We don't want to take anything. We want to build something new, a galaxy where disputes are settled through negotiation instead of warfare, where stronger species protect weaker ones instead of exploiting them, where fear is replaced by mutual respect." She gestured to new sections of the chamber, where different species now sat together, former enemies working as partners under human oversight. The Nexus Coalition now shares technology with the hegemony worlds. The Ethereal Collective provides energy solutions to developing systems. Former rivals cooperate because they understand the alternative. Director Nam Kyung stepped forward from the human delegation. His title was new, Head of the Department of Galactic Development, an organization that hadn't existed before humanity revealed itself. "We're not conquerors," he explained to the assembly. "We're gardeners. We plant seeds of cooperation and tend them until they grow into lasting peace. But like any good gardener, we're prepared to deal with weeds that threaten the garden." The holographic display showed examples of this new order in action. Human peacekeeping fleets stationed between former enemy territories. trade agreements negotiated under human mediation, scientific research projects shared across species barriers. But it also showed the other side of human involvement. Pirates who had terrorized shipping lanes for centuries now faced swift justice from human patrol ships. Slave traders found their operations dismantled overnight. Corrupt officials discovered that human intelligence services saw everything. "You rule through fear," accused a delegate from the Outer Rim territories. "No," Gina replied firmly. "We rule through strength applied, with wisdom. There's a difference between being peaceful and being harmless. We choose peace, but we're never harmless." She walked closer to the alien delegates, and several instinctively moved back in their seats. Every species in this chamber developed space travel through conflict and competition. You built weapons, conquered neighbors, and expanded through force, but you never learned when to stop. The display changed to show Earth's history, not the sanitized version aliens had seen before, but the full truth. Wars that lasted generations. Weapons capable of destroying entire continents. Conflicts so intense they nearly ended human civilization multiple times. "We fought ourselves to the edge of extinction and learned from it," Gina continued. "We discovered that the strongest don't always survive. The wisest do. The species that learns to cooperate while maintaining the ability to defend itself." A young delegate from a recently contacted species raised a tentative hand. "What about us? The new civilizations just reaching space? What happens to us in your new order?" Nam Kyung smiled, and for the first time in months an alien didn't flinch at a human expression. "You get what we never had. Guidance from someone who's already made the mistakes. We'll help you develop safely, protect you from exploitation, and teach you to stand on your own." The holographic display showed dozens of worlds under human protection, species that had been contacted by humanity before they developed weapons of mass destruction, civilizations guided toward cooperation instead of conquest. "This is our gift to the galaxy," Gina said. "Not domination, but education. Not fear, but security. We spent 10,000 years learning how to be the perfect predators. Now we'll spend the next 10,000 years teaching others how to avoid becoming prey." As the session ended, the remaining alien delegates filed out quietly. Many were still afraid, but some were beginning to understand. Humanity offered something unprecedented in galactic history: protection without exploitation, strength without cruelty. In the weeks that followed, more species began reaching out to human mediators. Trade disputes that might have led to war were resolved through negotiation. Resource conflicts were settled through compromise. Pirates and slavers found themselves facing justice instead of profits. The galaxy was learning a new lesson. The most dangerous predators weren't necessarily the ones with the biggest teeth or the strongest claws. Sometimes they were the ones smart enough to know that true strength came from protecting others, not consuming them. Humanity had spent 50 years pretending to be sheep among wolves. Now the wolves were learning to be shepherds, and the galaxy was finally beginning to grow up. The age of endless conflict was ending. The age of guided cooperation had begun.